Many actions happen in a matter of seconds, and every superhero has aspirations to do the right thing. But sometimes, like all people, they fall a little bit short. Their intentions are good, but they do the wrong thing at the wrong time. They make a mistake. And that's what we're here to discuss today. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 times superheroes did the wrong thing for the right reason. Number 10. Salvation Run. The president authorized a program to capture the world's supervillains and send them off-world. That order was carried out by the Suicide Squad. The villains have been diverted to a hostile planet, and alliances were formed almost immediately. Luthor created one with the promise of getting everyone home, and the Joker gathered the crazier villains to start some trouble. It was then revealed that Darkseid's torturer Desaad had diverted these villains there as some targets for his new parademons. Luthor created his teleporter and got many of the villains home, but had to kill some in order to power it. Now, besides the legal ramifications, this plan was doomed to fail. Putting this many volatile personalities together in one place, even a place where they had to depend on each other for survival, was just a powder keg in search of a match. And introducing the Joker into that wasn't just providing a match, it was providing a goddamn flamethrower. Something needed to be done about the supervillain problem. As let's face it, even a wedding isn't safe from a supervillain attack, and there were so many villains with so many powers that the heroes barely had any time to react from one fire to the next. But still, this plan here, it wasn't it. Number 9. The Justice League lobotomizes villains. After the heinous sexual assault of Sue Dibney, wife of the elongated man on the Justice League satellite, Zatanna wiped the mind of Dr. Light. She also made an adjustment to his personality, and Batman arrived on the satellite when she was in the middle of this, and she was forced to take a few minutes of his memories as well. On an earlier occasion, 5 members of the Secret Society of Supervillains swapped bodies with 5 members of the Justice League. Zatanna wiped out their memories as well as perhaps others. Arguably, there is no greater crime than having your mind violated. Removing information is one thing, but to alter a person's personality is terrible. And to alter the mind of a friend or colleague like Batman is even worse. Batman prides himself on his mind, and doing anything to it is cutting him much more deeply than any knife. However, the civilians in the heroes' lives have to be protected. There is no hero that you can name that doesn't have some kind of tragedy in their backstory and a near constant battle to protect the people they love in their current exploits. Nothing is scarier than knowing that your loved one is in danger, especially if you put them there. Number 8. Wonder Woman snaps Max Lord's neck. Maxwell Lord used the mental powers bestowed by the Gene Bomb in order to obtain the position of Checkmate's Black King. Lord convinced Brother Eye that the metahumans were a danger to the human population. Lord also gained mental control of Superman. Wonder Woman tried to convince Lord to let Superman go, even binding him in her lasso. And seeing no other way out, Diana snapped Lord's neck, killing him, but Lord arranged for his death to be broadcast worldwide. Wonder Woman should have found another way. She should have tried to knock him out or call the Martian Manhunter, Zatanna, or others that could have broken the mind control. Just because Lord said that the only way of ending his control was by killing him didn't actually mean that it was so. Diana didn't have to do it alone, and killing Lord practically destroyed her mission of peace in man's world. Max Lord needed to be stopped. He killed the Blue Beetle. He manipulated his way into one of the government's lead clandestine agencies, and the scope of his power made him a threat to anyone he encountered. If he could control Superman, there were very few people who would be immune to his power, but still, killing him in this fashion was not the plan that people needed. Number 7. Kingdom Comes Kansas Gulag. On Earth 22, the Gulag was the nickname given to the superhuman rehabilitation facility that Superman created to house and re-educate those young violent superheroes who simply refused to comply when Superman and the earlier generation of heroes returned. The facility was created with the intention of housing people for months. However, within 2 weeks, it was far beyond capacity. The prisoners revolted and a brainwashed Captain Marvel breached the escape-proof walls. The American government sent over a nuclear bomb which Marvel detonated in the air, but it still killed most of the people there. In this moment, Superman had created a ticking time bomb. He put the worst, most violent beings on the planet into one place. He forgot that not everyone was impressed by or could be intimidated by him. Some of the members of this new generation just didn't care about anything, even life or death. Superman had to come back and teach the new generation what it meant to be a hero, and so many of them were indistinguishable from the villains they fought. They would fight for fighting's sake and not care about the collateral damage. Superman at his best is both inspirational and aspirational, and he needed to step away from the farm to remind himself and these kids of that. Number 6. The Illuminati removing the Hulk from Earth. S.H.I.E.L.D. director Maria Hill contacted Iron Man about the Hulk, who had recently destroyed parts of Las Vegas. And here Tony brought a plan to his fellow members of the Illuminati, and that plan was to send the Hulk to an uninhabited planet where he could be alone. Namor declined and said that when the Hulk would return, he would seek vengeance against them. But the other four in attendance said yes, and they tricked Banner onto a S.H.I.E.L.D. satellite that was in need of repair and then shot him into deep space. However, a malfunction sent Hulk to a war-torn planet where he had to battle daily. Bruce obviously wanted to step away from people as he was hiding in Alaska at the time, and if Tony had come to Bruce and offered him a ship equipped with the means to work on a cure and the means to live a comfortable solitary life, Bruce probably would have gone without a fight. Now, something definitely had to be done about the Hulk. When Hulk was under Banner's control, his capacity for good was almost incalculable, but when the Hulk was a mindless force of nature, he was a deadly storm of destructive rage. Only the Hulk's friends stopped his rampages occasionally, but the idea of sending him to a planet where he would become king and then that planet would be destroyed and then he would be even more angry was probably not the plan that everyone envisioned. Number 5. Hal Jordan and 0 Hour. Hal Jordan, possessed by the fear creature Parallax, planned to restart the universe to reflect his own views. Hal wanted to eliminate all evil and resurrect his destroyed hometown, Coast City. Parallax fought the heroes, was weakened by the Spectre, and was killed by the Green Arrow. A new Big Bang happened and repaired time through natural means instead of a guided hand. Now, Hal tried to recreate Coast City with his ring, but this was a violation of the core rules, and it got him called in to be reprimanded. But the devastated Jordan left many of his fellow Lanterns for dead as he took their rings. Hal murdered the Guardians and took the power from the central control battery. This made him an easy target for the Parallax entity that had been trapped within. Now, the DC universe needed to be fixed. The Crisis on Infinite Earths took more than 50 years of stories and tried to distill everything down to a single cohesive history on one planet. But things fell through the cracks. The histories of a few characters refused to be retconned, so the writers and artists tried on their own to fix it with, varying degrees of success. Number 4. No More Mutants. As the House of M reality was falling apart, Wanda whispered these 3 words: no more mutants. When normal reality returned, it was estimated that 9 out of every 10 mutants had lost their powers on M Day, or the decimation. Former mutants were targeted and began seeking safe havens. The estimated 198 known mutants assembled at Xavier's school and received governmental protection. X-Factor investigations declared their area as Mutant Town and made it a safe place for mutants as well. Even though Wanda had been manipulated from all sides during the House of M storyline, she had no right to destroy the mutant population. Some mutants died immediately because their mutation was so extreme that it was the only thing keeping them alive. Some didn't want to live in a world without their powers, and some were murdered because of what they had done when they had those powers. But while the decimation of this species was terrible, it did force the mutant community to start paying closer attention to its members. It forced them to become self-policing, self-controlling, and not letting people with world-ending powers run around unchallenged. It made the mutants more responsible for their actions, but did it have to come at the cost of nearly 90% of their kind? Definitely not. Number 3. Batman's contingency plans. Realizing that they were among the most powerful beings on the planet, Batman had created contingency plans for all of the members of the Justice League, past and present. He did this in case they became corrupted, became mind-controlled, or just simply turned evil. All of his plans were to detain and incapacitate, but Ra's al Ghul once stole his plans and altered them to be deadly for members of the League. It was Batman's distrust, his need to be in control, and the need to keep everything secret that was his undoing in the Tower of Babel incident. If he had simply revealed to the League that because of the semi-regular frequency of the team being mind-controlled, that Batman had come up with plans to neutralize them until the threat is past, well, that simple statement would have saved a world of headaches. But the contingency plans did have to be made. Too many of the villains had taken complete control of the League in recent history, and it was only luck or the villains' arrogance that allowed the League to win in the end. And Batman was, after all, only human. When he worked and fought amongst gods every day, he kind of had to be prepared. Number 2. The Superhero Civil War. The New Warriors' mistake cost 600 people their lives and triggered a movement to make every person with powers register with the government. Captain America had seen the corruption and misuse of government power far too often and knew that registered heroes would be limited in who they could help. Iron Man believed that the heroes needed to be held responsible and policed. Sides were definitely picked, battle lines were definitely drawn, and people were definitely hurt and killed. It took Cap seeing that the public was on Iron Man's side to finally get him to stand down. But it didn't need to come to blows. Iron Man Batman, Reed Richards, and Hank Pym didn't need to create a clone of Thor, and it certainly didn't need to kill Bill Foster. If Steve and Tony had remembered that they were friends and that Tony had been against registration for years and that Cap was against children putting themselves in harm's way, they could have found common ground. Too many young heroes with too much power were using their powers irresponsibly. Of course they rebelled when they were met with the idea of forced registration, but if they were offered help and an opportunity to learn, chances are that they would have signed up willingly. And number 1, Flashpoint. Barry Allen awoke in a world where he didn't have his speed, as well as Superman and the Justice League not existing. The Amazons and the armies of Atlantis were at each other's throats, and Batman was Thomas Wayne, avenging the murder of his slain son Bruce. But here, Barry's mother was alive. He found that he'd saved his mother, but doomed the rest of the world by traveling back in time. As one of the heroes that understands the complexities of time dynamics, Flash knows better than most how changing the timeline can lead to disaster. Even though Barry changed everything back, the timeline was still altered for a time by outside manipulation, and the heroes had to endure the new 52 timeline. And this change might not have been possible without Barry's initial trip. Flash had to do everything he could to thwart the schemes of Thorn. Zoom's manipulations of Barry's life, the lives of other speedsters, and the time stream as a whole are too dangerous to be left unchallenged. And the Flash is one of the few superheroes equipped to deal with Thorn. But the mistakes that Flash himself made are prime examples of the mess that Thorn can unleash if left unchecked. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 times superheroes did the wrong thing for the right reason. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ with a 0, or you can swing by Live and Let's Dice, where I do all of my streaming outside of work, as well as my Warhammer battle reports, and it'd be great to see you over there. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.